Governments are no longer denying it. The military are no longer denying it. And even mainstream media no longer denies it. They're here and have been here for a very long time. The Mutual UFO Network has been on the front lines uncovering the truth since 1969. And now we're sharing the truth with you. Welcome to MUFON's What's Up with hosts Katie Grabowski, Christopher DePerno, and Katie Cook, exclusively on the KGRA Digital Broadcasting Network. Wondering what's up? So are we.
What's up, everybody? It is Tuesday night, and you are listening to MUFON What's Up Radio, the show that says discovery starts with curiosity, and curiosity starts with MUFON. Brought to you by KGRADB.com. Please go to their website, like and subscribe. There's so much great content on there. You will absolutely love it. I'm your host, Katie Grabowski, the Colorado State Director, although tonight I am coming to you live from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and through Albuquerque. I drove through some snow. It's really chilly out. I had gotten this room thinking I'd be able to broadcast live from this nice little patio out here, but it's too cold, so I decided to come on in here. Just coming back from the Sedona Ascension Retreat and had a wonderful time in Sedona. So this is awesome to be able to be here with you guys tonight, and I hope you all had a great weekend. As always, we're endorsed by MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network, always asking that all-important question, are we alone in the universe? I wanted to introduce our 22 Denver Symposium speakers, and this week in the spotlight is Peter Davenport. He will be talking about 3 decades of UFO sightings. Where is it, and where is it going, and what does it all mean? So Peter Davenport, he should be awesome. I hope you join us out there at the symposium in Denver in July. Tonight we have a wonderful, wonderful guest. I can't wait to get to her, and I know Katie Cook's looking forward to it too. Deb Jordan Kauble. She will be with us here in about 35 minutes. But first, I'd like to introduce my awesome co-host. I have Katie Cook. She loves all things UFO paranormal, and you see her on country music television. Welcome, Katie Cook.
Hi. I'm so glad you made it back from the Ascension Retreat. I was scared you might zoom off into the stars and would never see you again.
Yeah, right. Or one of those vortexes there in Sedona.
Yeah, that's serious
everywhere.
stuff. No,
vortex.
Very
Did
glad
have some
you're
weird
here.
things happen there, but we'll talk about that later. Yeah. And also I'd like to welcome Chris DePerno, New York State Director, and his special guests.
Relax. I will. Take it easy. Jerry wanted me to introduce his new girlfriend, Jenna. Jenna is with us now. Jerry went on aliendating.com and found Jenna. He said, Chris, I want to find a well-endowed girl and well-endowed head. They go by heads. Okay, and we got Jenna. So Jenna is now going to be assisting us with the show. Jerry, Jenna, my homeboys and homegirls. I don't want to sound like a sexist.
Welcome, Jenna. You are a fine-looking specimen.
Yeah, she's a little crazy, man. She's going to get into it.
You say that about all the girls. Is there really an aliendating.com?
There is an alienabductiondating.com. I'm telling you, I swear to God, I tried to get on it. I go, what the hell? Let's try it and stuff like that. Then my wife came in the room. And she says, if you get on the site, you better wish you get abducted and they don't bring you back. Because I know how to use a 12-gauge shotgun.
Oh, my God.
And you will be in the garden.
You're too pansies. You're too funny. Oh, my goodness. Katie, what do you have to kick us off tonight?
Oh, what do I have indeed? Well, hopefully I will get to hang out with you for the whole show. There is a wicked storm that is hitting right now in Nashville. So if I glitch out, I'll just keep trying to jump back on. Wish me luck. But let's start with our meme of the week. I always like to kick off this way. Guys, I found the real reason aliens are visiting Earth. For those of you just listening, they're lining up for the porta potty. So apparently they just need a pit stop. I thought you guys would appreciate knowing that.
I have a question. Can I ask you a question, Katie?
Yes.
Do they know how to use toilet paper?
I wondered.
I've never seen an alien with toilet paper.
Yeah. Because you just see aliens all the time.
Have you ever seen an alien with toilet paper? Have you ever said, wait a minute, we can't do the probing right now because I got to go take a whiz?
I have not. You stumped me there. I have not.
Okay.
I'll do some investigating. Very serious investigation underway this week, and whether or not aliens use toilet paper. I will report back next week. Does that sound good?
I think it's a scientific thing.
Okay, I will find out. All right, let's move on to our pop of the week. Okay, so normally I would hold up the pop, but yes, Amanda, thank you for putting the picture up because, guys, they smelled so good. I ate them. I couldn't even wait. I feel so bad. So these are little Sasquatch feet that you can order at paranormalpops.com. Yeah, they're feet, but I promise you they smell so divine. They are milk chocolate with salted caramel. They are gluten-free, and they are so, so, so good. And finally, a fun little product. I found a UFO planter, and it's sold by Layer Space on Etsy. And this is using 3D printing technology. Isn't that cute for like a little succulent or something?
Yeah.
I just love that. And there's that way you can see how big it is. I just think this is adorable. And I don't know much about 3D printing technology. We do have a little video of this guy being made.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, let's see if Amanda can pull that one up real quick. Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
That was 3D printing technology thing. I feel like you can make almost anything with it now. I just love that. And speaking of cool goods, Katie G, you found something really cool, didn't you?
Well, first of all, when in Sedona, I mean, there's so many great shops. I couldn't stay out. I know you should be looking at the beautiful vortexes and the scenery, but they have some cool shops. So I found these are from Magic Candle, and don't drop it. I gotta get it right. Okay, look at that. They light up. Look at that. And what's cool is they don't burn all the way down. You put little tea lights in them. So I got that one, and then check this one out. And so they last forever because you just burn tea lights.
Wow.
So check out the Sasquatch.
Wow.
Aren't those cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah, love these. So that's my, and of course couldn't be in New Mexico. Of course it says Roswell, but they had it at the little shop I was just at. So I got my new alien mug. I'm all good to go.
I love you. Good to go. All right. Well, Chris, what you got for news this week?
News this week. Okay, let's see. Amanda, let's get with the news. We're going to have fun with this one. Argentina vanishing woman thinks she was pregnant by aliens. I think I'm pregnant by an alien, says Irma Rick, a resident of the country of Argentina. Rick, who claimed to have been abducted by an alien UFO in November of 2021, her case made news throughout the country. Rick stated, I need to have a bunch of tests done. Yes, you do. Irma Rick disappeared November of last year and was found 65 kilometers away from her home one day later. She herself claimed to have been conveyed by a white light. This morning, while being interviewed by Baja Hoy, sounds like a Filipino porn movie anyways, and I don't see those. Program La Basha, I cut that one up. La Basha 24, I could never find them on cable. Irma made a stunning disclosure. I'm pregnant by a space alien. While she began the presentation by asking for money because I'm a poor old woman who works in the fields, she added that she may tell many things to come. She went on to say, I'm undergoing tests because I could be pregnant by an alien. Don't ask me why there's an egg in an alien. Maybe, I don't know. There's something Sigmund Freud has to figure out. I'm not asking for much. I must have a bunch of things done. Tomorrow I must have ultrasounds and such. I supposedly got pregnant when they took me. She ended up by saying, I don't have a belly yet. I'm not going to go there. I feel discomfort. Things are happening to me. I must consult with a prosecutor. Now, folks, I'm no genius, but a prosecutor is a lawyer. I think she needs a doctor, but hey, that's what they say. As she doesn't want me saying anything too much, perhaps the magic isn't in having the solution, but in the quest to find it. It might be our method of comprehending our existence. Now, that's too deep for me. So here's a short video of Irma being interviewed. I made it because I don't understand a word she said. Amanda?
Justamente, Marco, querido, todo tuyo.
Sí, estamos acá en Arauz, en La Pampa, en la provincia de La Pampa, y estamos con Irma. Gracias, Irma.
No, de nada.
qué susto.
Sí, yo la verdad que no sé si fue susto o qué es lo que fue, no sé, pero qué sé yo, no sé cómo, ni siquiera yo sé cómo explicarlo.
¿Nos quiere contar qué pasó?
Sí, mira,
A ver.
mi marido se fue porque hay otro campo que estaba también a cargo, ¿viste? Y él se fue, yo me levanté, tomé 2 o 3 mates, siempre me pongo a...
Interesting. Well, anyways, the MUFON team, we followed up on this, and Jerry, actually, my man Jerry here, my homeboy, did another interview. Amanda, would you put up that video? What number is it? 1E. Put up 1E picture. No, wrong. Sorry about that. Photo 1E. Have you got it, Amanda? No, photo 1E, buddy.
I probably
There you go.
named it.
There it is. Photo 1E. Jerry actually investigated this and was able to get to the bottom of it. He obtained an interview from the aliens involved, and it appears the aliens were having a bachelor party. Amanda, show those scoundrels. There you go. Good for you. All right, take them off. They said that they swung down to Argentina to have some fun. Okay. Jerry caught up with the alleged alien involved. Put that other video of that scoundrels there, the other scoundrel. Yeah, that one right there. What a scoundrel. One question, his statement was, "No way. I thought I used a condom and I'll never drink Earth tequila again. So help me God, I don't remember a thing. She must have put a screen memory in me." He inquired about a good paternity lawyer and said he's out of here before he gets served papers. Jerry finished the interview. Any thoughts on this?
Chris, you are in some kind of mood.
I am. I saw that story and I just had to go with it. Anyways, any questions on it? Okay.
Oh my! I don't know where to start with this one. When she said she wasn't.
Well, do you know a good paternity lawyer?
Actually, I don't. I strangely have never needed that. Do you remember the Family Feud?
Yes.
Her story about I wasn't showing it reminded me of the episode where, they do that speed round where they have to come up with the answers really quickly. Yes. And one of the questions was, in what month does a woman start showing during pregnancy? Now, granted, she was under a lot of pressure, but she went, September. It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And for some reason, that joke just popped into my head. Hey, I don't know what's going on with Irma Rick, but you know what? I believe it happens. So we can sit here and giggle all we want, but I think there are people on this planet that has happened to. So
absolutely.
It's kind of a cute, funny story, but if it really happened to her, then, I feel for her.
I do too.
Yeah.
Katie, what do you think?
I agree with Katie. I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'll just leave it.
Well, you know what? Jerry and I and Jenna produced an alien self-defense video, and we think it's good for people who maybe be attacked by aliens. Amanda, would you play that video? actually
on vacation, and this is what happens. My gosh.
Actually, Jerry and I didn't make the movie. The movie was made by another company, and we kind of, got to use part of it and stuff. But it's a good self-defense thing,
Yeah, well, one thing for sure, I guess, don't leave your rolling pin out.
Yeah,
That's like lesson number one.
One of them must have been a gangster because the first thing he did was pick up a knife. He's like, man, I'm going to cut you.
Who put the sticky note on her gun? That's what I want to know.
I said no violence.
Yeah.
No, it's not really violent. I don't like this one.
And stuff. All right, well, let's get on to our other story, man.
Yeah, wow.
All right. Here's one that'll really knock the socks off you. An astonishing new theory claims past, present, and future existence simultaneously. Here's an intriguing idea. What if you were informed that everything in your life was pre-planned? Even crazier, what if your history, present, and future are all taking place right now? An incredible new theory established as the block universe. The guy who thought of it must have been a block. Theory asserts that time does not actually flow like a river. Rather, everything is ever present. Dr. Bradford Scow, a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, proposes that if we look down on the cosmos, if we're a piece of paper, we would see time stretched out in all directions, just as we perceive space at any given time. It is possible that we only see time as a linear because that is what our human brains are capable of comprehending. Let's delve a bit more into this interesting new theory that I don't understand and what could signify for our existence. Dr. Scow is now the first scientist to question how humans perceive time. The Einstein proposed a theory of unified space and time in 1915. He suggests that his general theory of relativity, that space-time adopts a manifold of continuous structure when seen together. They form a four-dimensional vector space. This vector is referred to as block theory. The distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Einstein's theory is widely regarded as the most accurate explanation of what the cosmos mean in cosmic sense. And this doesn't make sense. It is not unreasonable to consider the existence of a block universe. Okay. When you try to wrap your brain around this hypothesis, you see that it has the potential to transform the way we think about time travel. Dr. Julian Barbour, a physicist at the United Kingdom, and other scientists think that the Big Bang occurred, the cosmos generated a mirror universe. And get this, time reverses in this mirror realm. In this parallel reality, individuals awaken from death, live out their old age, and wait until they are old enough to start their profession, go to school. Doesn't that sound strange? Amanda, let's play this video.
Is your future already decided? New theory of time suggests that the past, present and future coexist in the universe. A Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor of philosophy has presented a new theory of time. Dr. Bradford Scow says the idea that time flows like a river is not correct. Instead, he claims space-time is a block universe where the past, present and future all exist together. If we were to look down upon the universe, we would see time spread out. But he adds the present is not a spotlight in time, but rather we are in a temporally scattered condition. The old adage that time is like a river, suggesting that we move through it like a ship sailing on water, may be wrong. A new theory claims that time does not move forward, but rather, everything in time is ever present. According to the theory, if we were to look down upon the universe, we would see time spread out in all directions, just as we see space at the moment. The intriguing theory was put forward by Dr. Bradford Scow, an associated professor of philosophy at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. In his new book, Objective Becoming, he examines some of the theories that have been postulated to explain time. When you ask people, tell me about the passage of time, they usually make a metaphor, he said. They say time flows like a river, or we move through time like a ship sailing through the sea. Another theory states that the present is a spotlight that moves from the past to the future, with us being located in the spotlight as it moves forward. Dr. Scow, however, said he wouldn't want to believe in that unless I saw good arguments for it. Rather, He favors a theory known as the block universe, which states that the past, present and future already exist. Dr. Scout said that he does not think events sail past us and vanish forever. Instead, they exist in different parts of space-time. The block universe theory says you're spread out in time, something like the way you're spread out in space. Dr. Scout said we are not located at a single time. Instead, he says we are in a temporarily scattered condition. He asserts that our passage through space-time is not like a spotlight, and the experiences you had yesterday, last week, or even years ago are all real. But he says time travel between the different times is not possible, as we are now in a different part of space-time. His theory follows another postulated by scientists back in December. They proposed that at the moment of the Big Bang, a mirror universe to our own was created that moves in the opposite direction through time, and intelligent beings in each one would perceive the other to be moving backwards through time. The radical theory was proposed by Dr. Julian Barber of College Farm in the UK, Dr. Tim Kozlowski of the University of New Brunswick in Canada, and Dr. Flavio Mercati of the Perimeter Institute for Theoretical Physics, also in Canada. Their research attempts to answer questions that remain about the arrow of time, which is the concept that time is symmetric and everything moves forwards. They say that at the time of the Big Bang not one but two universes formed, both moving equally in each direction through time, but opposite to each other. A mirror universe to our own was created that moves in the opposite direction through time, and intelligent beings in each one would perceive the other to be moving backwards. This universe would not be exactly the same as ours, though. It would have evolved and changed in its own way, completely separate to our own. However, it would be subject to the same laws of physics, so it would likely have planets, stars and galaxies just like in our version of the cosmos. And Dr. Barber told Mail Online the theory could open up a new way to think about the Big Bang. At the moment when people talk about the Big Bang, they more or less throw their hands up in despair and say they can't say what happened.
Well, what do you think, Katie?
I'm moving backwards in time. It makes sense.
Okay,
to me.
I thought you were having an overdose seizure or something. But...
No, it explains deja vu. It kind of makes sense to me. I mean, I don't think time is linear for sure.
I think word the thing said. Cookie, what do you think?
Well, were you done, Katie? I don't want to.
I'm sorry.
I'm done. That's fine.
Yeah, I love thinking about time. This is it's just one of my favorite topics. I like the whole block theory, and I love what he said about looking down on time, almost like it was on a piece of paper, and you could see it all at once. That kind of resonates with me. That whole living in reverse idea, though, like starting out old and then getting younger, like, isn't it weird? Like, I feel like we go full circle. I mean, you know, we start as these little helpless babies that need everything done for us, and in a way, that's how we end up. You know, typically at the end of life too. I can't imagine going backwards because the idea of going backwards with my wisdom and knowledge, that really freaks me out. And then of course, sometimes that happens too as people start to lose their memory. So this is the kind of thing I can just think on all day long. I love it.
Right. Because then you get the question of free will. Do we have free will? Do we not have free will? Is everything pre-planned? Blah, blah, blah. Like this goes, whoop, you go down the rabbit hole with this one.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Because I do feel like I have free will. And yet I do sometimes think, yeah, that was all laid out for me. Like there's no way that wasn't a structure that was already in place. And I do kind of resonate with the idea that we choose some things before we come into this life. I've always thought that was probably true. But I don't know if that means that we can't wiggle around a little bit once we're in it.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. That's kind of the conclusion I came to too. Like I think most times we do have free will, but there's certain things that have happened at like really big things that maybe we don't have as much as we think. Just at certain times. Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably good if I don't have too much free will in some ways.
Yeah. Interesting. All right.
Yeah, I don't know. What about Bob Spearing? Oh, sorry. Did I cut you off?
That's okay. I was just gonna catch up with Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. He made a very interesting video this week. Amanda, let's roll that.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Spearing, MUFON's Director for Investigations on the international side. I'd like to thank Chris for having me on each week so that I can show you a recent video from our case files. One just came in that I'd like Chris to roll for you in a second, and then when it's done, I'll go back and we'll analyze it a little bit. Okay, let it roll. Okay. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. 0. So it's an odd object going up and then making peculiar maneuvers, and you can see that there's an ice halo around the moon in this particular video. The camera is set to distance to the moon, which is why the moon and the halo around it look so clear. The object that's making the odd maneuvers is out of focus, which suggests that it's much closer to the camera. This does not display the characteristics of a conventional aircraft. My personal feeling is that this case will be solved as a butterfly or a moth or some sort of insect in the foreground of the camera, which is why it's out of focus, and that this will be solved as an IFO. I am not the investigator. It's just my opinion, and that's what I think it is. Anyway, I'd like to thank Chris for having me on each week, and hopefully I'll see you again next week.
Yeah, I could agree with that. What do you think?
I think it's a bug.
Yep.
I it certainly acts like a bug. You know, Katie?
Yeah, I agree.
I get sent so many of these videos. I know you guys do too, and it's really hard. You know, like, oh, look what I caught on my security cam, and I'm always just like, I feel like 99% of the time it is a bug. There are some kind of unexplainable giant orbs doing really weird things, but I mean, for the most part,
you know, here's the strange thing about it, though. We all say it's a bug, but usually when you get that, you get a bunch of bugs. It was just one.
Unless it's a butterfly, then it's probably going to be just one, right?
Well, yeah. Okay, you got me there.
Because I'm a butterfly expert. I don't know. I just don't see them always going around in their posses.
I don't know. Jerry's just whispering here and says, "Shut your mouth, Chris. You don't know what you're talking about."
He's like, "It's a bug. It's a bug. It's a bug.
It's a bug, dude. It's not one of us."
Well, hey, before we bring Deb on, which I'm so excited about, I did want to share a WhatsApp extra with you this week. So, Chris, I was going through some old footage on my computer, and I came across the first time you and I ever talked. We had met maybe a year or two before that. But a few years ago, it was when they were talking about storming Area 51, and you know, it was all silly. Yeah. But I did a funny little video where I interviewed some people, and I remember of course, I had no idea that we would end up being on this podcast, the three of us. But it's like, I was like, I hope I get to talk to this guy again somehow in the future because it's so funny. So this is us talking about storming Area 51. Amanda, can you roll that? He's already laughing, and I haven't even asked him anything yet.
I can't wait to see the video on that one. I mean, I don't think they're going to get very far. I mean, first of all, it's a military installation that, you know, is guarded by people who used to be Navy SEALs and Special Forces, and they're not going to play. If they think they're going to get very far with them, they got a better chance of seeing Jesus than they are with those.
We're not dealing with mall cop.
No, wait, no. And then second of all, there's a thing called tear gas.
You think there's anything even in there anymore?
No, you're not. Well, first of all, if there is anything, it's at a place called S4, which is inside of a mountain. So they better bring their shovels and their picks if they want to get that far. But first of all, they're going to go through, 20 miles of desert before they're going to even get to a close area. Then they got to find the place. So they better bring their lunch because it's not going to be something that they're going to do in a couple hours. I can tell you that. Maybe some suntan lotion because they're going to get awful hot. And you're going to get a little burned and charred out there. It's not exactly the greatest environment in the world. What do you think they picked it for? So nobody would go there. It's not like Palm Springs or Florida Beach. Yeah, we're going to put a secret base on a beach here, so you guys can come on down. They put it in the middle of God's country. Yeah, you want to go see a flying saucer? Go out on your back porch and keep watching the stars. You're going to see one sooner or later. You're going to see things that you've never seen before. It's a lot easier. You go out there with your Diet Coke, you sit out on the back porch, you enjoy yourself, instead of going there with like 50 gallons of water and trying to, storm Area 51.
Yay, nay, Area 51? Can't really hear you. Okay, apparently you just really don't want to talk. Duh. What am I thinking? You guys totally communicate telepathically. God, Katie. Know your interview subject. All right, we're going to do things your way. Oh.
That is the best.
I can't tell you what he said. I can't tell you. He swore me to secrecy.
Oh my God. I just remembered that now. That's the first time we actually had a serious conversation. I guess it was serious, but
yeah, well, about as serious as we ever get. Actually, that's not true. We get very, very serious about the UFO topic, but we like to have a little fun now and then too.
We do.
Yes.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for sharing that, because I haven't remembered that, and that was wonderful.
I thought people would appreciate it.
Yeah.
Is it time now to bring on our guest?
I think it's a great time to bring on Deb.
Okay, let's bring on. All right, let me read Debbie's bio here. Debbie Jordan Kauble was the central figure in Bud Hopkins' New York Times bestseller Intruders, The Incredible Visitations at Copley Woods, and the 1992 CBS miniseries of the same name, starring Richard Crenna and Mar Winningham. To protect her family, she went by the pseudonym of Kathy Davis. After a lifetime of continued experiences, she wrote her own book, Extraordinary Contact: Life Beyond Intruders, to share her journey with others who have been affected by the same phenomenon. She has been a speaker at many conferences and over the years has appeared on countless TV and radio shows, including Maury Povich, ABC News New York, Sightings, Discovery X, Oprah Winfrey's AM Chicago, and most recently, The Observers with Whitley Strieber, Richard Dolan, Linda Moulton Howe, and more. Please welcome to the show, Deb Jordan. Hi, Deb.
Hi.
Hi, Deb.
Hi.
Katie, you want to kick off the first question to Deb this week?
Sure. Well, I was thinking, Deb, I know that a lot of our viewers are very familiar with your history and your experience because you are one of the most famous abductees in history. But there's bound to be some people tuning in that have not heard your story. And we've got like 20 minutes before break. So I just thought, maybe we spend this first part before the break getting everybody caught up that may not know your history. I don't know where you want to start. If you want to talk about the experience at your mother's house, I'll leave that up to you. But let's kind of fill people in.
Well, the experience that happened on June 30th, 1983 is the one who led me to Bud Hopkins, which resulted in, after a 3-year investigation, the book Intruders. So I guess that's a good place to start. I've had a lifetime of strange things happen to me, but the June 30th, 1983 incident was probably the biggest thing that's happened. I was living with my parents at the time. I had just moved in. I was a single mom with 2 little kids, and I was getting ready to go cut some patterns with a friend who lived behind us. And I was looking out the kitchen window, and I noticed a light in the pump house of the swimming pool that my parents had. There was an odd light in there, and the door was open, and I knew it shouldn't be. So I mentioned it to my mom, and she didn't seem to be too concerned about it. And so I went on about my business and got ready to leave. And right before I left, I went ahead and went down the side driveway just to look one more time because I wasn't thinking about aliens. I was thinking about burglars and the fact that my dad was working second shift at Ford, and I was about to leave my mom there with my 2 little kids. So I wanted to make sure I didn't see anybody. And I didn't, but I did notice that the pedestrian door to the garage was open. So instead of stopping, I just went the 2 minutes over to the next street, and I called her and let her know. And she said, don't worry about it. She would lock the doors, and Dad would be home soon, and just not worry about it. And I said, okay. So I hung up, and just as soon as I did, the phone rang again, and it was my mom calling me, and she said, I need you to come home right now. And she sounded scared, which was not like her. So, and I think my voice was I got a little frantic at hearing her, and my friend's husband, who was overhearing my phone conversation, said, "Tell her to call the police. That's what they get paid for." And she heard him, and she said, "No, I don't want anybody here but you." So I left, went back home. I went all over the backyard, looking around. I checked back by my dad's workshop where all his motorcycles and stuff were, and found my dog up underneath of the ladder truck that was parked out there. Checked the swimming pool pump house, didn't see anybody. And so I went into the garage, the open pedestrian door. And when I first got there, I had picked up a shotgun that was my dad's that he had out by the trash compactor. Even though I knew, my mom said, that's not loaded, right? And I said, yeah, I know, but whoever's out here won't know. I can get close enough to him to swat him with it, The fact that I went out there, the fact that I touched a gun, because I really did not, the gun was unloaded because I had requested that when we moved in, and I wasn't a fan back then. And the fact that I went out there looking around, also, I was 22, 23 years old, and I was not brave like that, but I was that night. Anyways, I got to the garage. I went in, flipped on the light. There was no one in there. There was a set of a mattress and box springs leaned up against one wall, and anybody who was in the garage, that was where the only place they could have hidden. And if you can picture me lurking around there with this shotgun like Elmer Fudd about to get the bunny, cussing and everything like I do.
I'm putting an alien.
And I was like, I was ready to whoop some butt and take some names. And all of a sudden I felt weird. I thought, oh my God, I was hot. Felt like I was burning. My skin was burning, and I felt like a hot flash, like hot. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I got to get out of here right now. I felt panicky, and I went to run to get through the doorway. And when I did, something hit me in the chest area, like solar plexus. And all I could see was white, bright light. And it was so intense that it hurt my eyes, and I couldn't move. And I honestly cannot say how long I was in this condition, because it was like time stopped. And I know that people laugh at me sometimes when I say that, but it's like when you're watching something dramatic unfold, and it's like a train wreck, and everything goes in slow motion. First, I was shaking, but I couldn't move. And then the shaking turned into vibrating. And then the vibrating turned into like, I could almost feel each individual molecule in my body shake individually. And I felt a pull down on this shoulder, and I felt this burning sensation in this ear. And I heard a voice from behind me. I couldn't see anybody, but I heard a voice say, it was unfortunate that I felt pain. And then, the brightness lit up, the vibrating and the shaking stopped. And I found myself out through the doorway on the patio. And then I could see movement in the yard in front of me. My eyes were all splotchy. My vision was all white and splotchy. And I couldn't see real good detail, but I thought there were children in my mom's backyard. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what are all these kids doing in my mom's backyard? And there were 6 of them. They were moving all around the yard, and they moved all up together up by the driveway. And then they moved down across the yard in front of me to this thing. And then that's when I saw this thing. I still couldn't move, but I could move my eyes, and I saw this thing. And it was shaped like an egg. It wasn't much bigger than the pump house or the swimming pool. It was not big. And in retrospect, I can't imagine how 6 even child-sized people could fly anywhere in this thing. I don't know what it was. I don't even know if it was all the way on the ground sometimes, because it kind of did a little like, bobbly, but I couldn't tell whether it was my eyes or the thing. There was a ball of light about the size of a basketball, about 20 feet or so in front of me next to this thing. And it was about as high off the ground as I am tall. I'm 5'3". Went down really slow, and then it came back up really slow. And I felt for some reason like it was looking at me. And I don't know why. And I think when I saw the kids, I thought of my own kids, and I thought, oh my God, my kids are my kids are here. What, my mind started to race, and the voice came back again and said, your children are fine. And then the next thing I remembered is I heard my name. And when I heard my name, it's like someone snapped a finger, and everything that I just had go on kind of just went out of my head. And I remember turning and walking up the back steps, and my mom was standing in the doorway, and she says to me, is everything okay? And I said, yeah, everything's cool. But then in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't want to go cut patterns anymore. I want to go swimming. I just want to get wet. I feel like I need to get wet. So I can't remember whether I called my friend and they came over, or if I went back to the house and then they came over. But we decided, okay, not to cut patterns, and they were going to go swim. Come swim with us. It was her and her teenage daughter. So we're walking across the backyard towards the pool, and her daughter steps on something in the yard, and we thought it was a bee that she might have stepped on. We looked her foot. We didn't see anything. And so I remember her mom's like, oh, get in the pool. The water's cool. It'll, if it's a bee sting, it'll help it. We weren't out the pool very long, and all of us started getting nauseated, and my eyes were hurting. And then I noticed that I started seeing halos around the outside lights, and I had a headache. And my friend, she says like, hey, let's go to White Castle and get a hamburger. Maybe we'll feel better if we eat. I never turned down a White Castle, but I don't think we actually ended up, I think we aborted that idea at some point they ended up going home, and I went in and went to bed. And when I woke up the next morning, my eyes were swollen, completely shut. And I was in so much pain, and I felt so sick that my mom took me to the emergency room. And there was a doctor in the emergency room that was actually an eye doctor. I don't know why he was in there at the time, but he was. And I remember him telling my mom, if you can bring her across the street to my office, I have equipment that I can look at her better there. So he said, yes. Mom said, yeah, I'll take her over there. So they worked me in. And the first thing he says to me when he looks at me is, have you looked into the arc of a welder's torch? I'm like, no. And at that point, I hadn't remembered all the bright light and all that yet. I was just, for several days after that, I was full of panic and anxiety. I couldn't sleep. I sat up at the boys' room all night long. And then 4th of July weekend came a few days later, and everybody went out to the pool to swim. The kids came running back in. My oldest nephew says, hey, Grandma, what's wrong with your yard? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so all the adults went outside and looked, and there was this mark in the yard, a big, it was like about an 8.5 foot diameter circle that had a streak that came off of it that was 49 feet long. That streak was 49 feet long, went all the way across the yard, ended in a perfect arc. And all the grass there just kind of turned brown and laid down a little bit. It wasn't crushed or anything. And my mom, first thing out of her mouth is like, oh, that's where our UFO landed. And she's giggling and the kids are giggling. And I looked at her and I'm like, why would you? I thought to myself, what is wrong with you? Why would you say that? And then I looked back at that mark and bam, it's like everything started coming back to me. First thing I saw were the big black eyes, like between me and the mark in the yard. And I felt panicky and I was hiding it. I was trying to hide it. I was the queen of hiding it. From my family. I didn't want them to know that I was starting to have an anxiety attack as I was looking at this mark. After my mom said that, it was like, again, somebody snapped their fingers and everything started coming back. One thing that I remembered while I stood there and in the days following was that I had picked a book up in a library a few months before called Missing Time by a guy named Bud Hopkins. And yep, there it is. And I tried to read the book a few times while I had it, but every time I would read a little bit of it, it would make me have a panic attack. And my mom finally is like, you can take that book back to the library because we can't afford to keep going to the doctor. I thought I was having heart attacks. So, but I remembered that in the back of the book, there was a page that had his address and said you could write to him if you thought you'd have this kind of experience. And in my mind, I'm thinking maybe this guy can help me, because now I'm remembering stuff from when I was first married and I was 18 years old and things that I'd forgotten about. And so I went, got the book, got the address, wrote to Bud a 14-page letter, took a gob of Polaroids and mailed it to him. And I tried to do some of my own investigating, trying to figure out what might have caused this mark in the yard. I contacted the agricultural agent for the state of Indiana, somebody at Purdue University in the agricultural department, the gas company, the electric company, my father, and my Uncle Jim. They tried to figure out what had caused this. And I felt like I was having a nervous breakdown. I was having so many memories come back and I couldn't process it all in my head. And then when I had gone out with a friend one night, and when I came back, Mom said that guy who wrote that book called. And when she did, it's like I almost had a heart attack right then. I started shaking immediately. And she said, his phone number's over there by the phone, and you can call him if you want, which, that was a long distance call back in 1983. So she gave me permission to make a long distance call on her phone. And I remember shaking so hard I could hardly breathe when I dialed the phone. And he answered, and that was it. 3 years of investigating, and he had to convince my family and I to let him write Intruders, but we finally did, because that was not my intention when I contacted him. I didn't want a book written about me and my family. I just wanted to be normal and figure out how I was going to live with this and what happened to me, So, and here I am. That's the main big thing that happened.
Yeah. So we have like 7 minutes before break, but that ball of light that you felt had intelligence that was somehow watching you. Do you remember the color of that light?
It was white, and it was pure white. The light that hit me was pure white and intense, but the ball of light was also pure white, but it was not as intense. I could look at it and it wasn't painful like the other white light was, but it was white.
Wow, interesting. And so you had missing time. Do you know how much missing time you had?
After Bud came and we tried to do some hypnosis on the night, and he interviewed a couple of neighbors, and he interviewed my friend and her husband where I'd been back and forth, and my family. He figured that there was possibly about an hour to maybe an hour and 15 minutes. And still, to this day, what I just described to you is the only thing that I had conscious memory that came back of consciousness. So, and that's not nearly, 15 or an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Deb, if I can, I'd like to just follow up a little bit on that question that you just said, because what you just told me is the same thing like Travis Walton had explained to me, that he got too close to the craft or too close to whatever, and he got hit by a bolt, almost like a bolt of lightning. And he believes it killed him. And the only reason he wasn't going to be abducted, he actually believes that the only reason they took him was to bring him back to life. They kind of said, oops, we screwed this up. Do you think there was anything similar to that? Like, you get hit with this thing, it causes damage, it's very painful, it hurts you tremendously. I mean, you actually have these after effects that a lot of abductees have. And that missing time, do you remember anything about them maybe trying to, help you or do work on you for the damage that they caused?
No, I had, I think Bud and I tried to do one hypnosis session. I didn't have very much hypnosis with him because he lived, 1,500 miles away, and it was expensive to travel back and forth. We didn't have internet or cell phones or anything. So that we tried it, and I do. I think I remember being in a hospital or an examining situation, but I don't remember anything else. I get what you say though.
Yeah, it's interesting because you were physically injured and you still were physically injured afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you remember that you were on a table or something, I'm just wondering if this isn't similar to like, Travis Walton. Maybe there wasn't an intentional to abduct you, but the possibility they screwed up and they say, oh, we got to do something about this now kind of deal.
Yeah, it's possible. I don't know for sure. I mean, it sounds like it makes sense. And I definitely, my dog had been out there. I found her under the ladder truck and she'd been out there. And well, probably 6 weeks after that, we had to put her to sleep. But we thought she had mange at first because her hair started falling out. But then it started falling out all over the place and her teeth fell out and she had big black spots on her back and she couldn't eat. And so, we put her.
Was it radiation?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah. Timing is awfully suspicious. So we've got just a couple minutes before break. While we're still on this, like you said, it really affected your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get to talking about this in the second hour, how you've very much come around to feeling pretty good about this experience overall. And there have been positive aspects. But you did suffer some health effects like Chris is talking about. Would you just in a couple of minutes, like what advice would you have for people that are really actively wanting to call in these visitors? Not saying they're all bad at all, but I just thought you could really kind of speak to that in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, I just, I didn't ask for this to happen. I didn't go out there looking for it that night. I was looking for burglars. I don't know why or what happened. I do know I have had experiences in the past, from the time I was a kid. My advice would be just be careful what you wish for because you don't know what this stuff is and what it can do. Because my eyes have never been right since. I was diagnosed with macular degeneration and severe cataracts in my 30s. And made it to 50 before I had to get acrylic lenses in my eyes. My vision went farsighted real bad immediately after that. My eyes still water every day, and they'll turn red. I had other health issues too. I really firmly believe that it was not intentional. I do. I don't feel that what happened to me was malicious, but rather some kind of a side effect of this contact, maybe an inadvertent side effect that, just be careful. If you're going to go out there and try to look for this, you don't know what you might be getting into.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have respect for it.
Yeah.
It's powerful. Like you said, whether they meant to hurt.
It's like you ain't going to play with a rattlesnake or a scorpion, so just be careful with this because you don't know what it is.
How about a little safety tip? If you're going to go look for burglars, don't go with an empty gun.
Well, okay. I don't. Yeah, true. I didn't know. I was 23. What did I know?
Well, I can't wait to get into, your younger contact experiences. And also I want to talk with you about, does this run in families? And I know Katie, Chris, and I have so many more questions coming up here. We have like a minute to break. So, if you want to elaborate maybe more on, some tips or for abductees or contactees or where they can turn to, maybe, are you aware of the MUFON ERT team and that kind of thing?
I've heard of it, but I haven't really had any. I have been mostly being involved with a group called CIRO in California that we do Zoom and stuff. Yvonne Smith. I was introduced to Yvonne Smith by Bud years and years and years ago. And I kind of look up to her and feel almost like she's my big sister. Even though she's not that much older than me, I'm 63 years old, but I just, she was there in the beginning and she's been very helpful and networking and meeting other people, in my situation. That's helpful to have someone to talk to.
Yeah, Yvonne is great. And there are places people can go. And if you do go to MUFON, we have the experience or resource team. Chris is a part of that, right, Chris?
Yes, I
so
am.
if you feel you have these abduction experiences or contact experiences, you reach out for that.
Yeah.
That will take us up to break. And when we get back, we'll have more with Deb Jordan. We'll see you in a minute.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
Hey members, the new KGRA-DB app is now available on iOS and Android devices. Gain on-demand access to any KGRA-DB programming. Download any show directly to your mobile device to listen or watch on the go. Go to the App Store and search KGRA-DB.
Welcome to the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. Here you'll find great new content, including the KGRA Classics, great shows from our archives. You'll be able to see the show times and information so you can see what show is currently on air. The on-air live button. So just go to this section and you'll be able to hear the show live with exceptional sound quality. We also have the Vault section. Make sure to subscribe to get access to great content and special features. We have the make content for our latest news and events, so make sure to sign up and you can be part of our forum. So make sure to check out the new KGRA digital broadcasting website, thekgradb.com. We look forward to seeing you there, and we hope that you enjoy the new website.
Caught us dancing again. We're always dancing in the break. I love that music. Who wants to start us off? Should I go first? I know we're all dying to ask so many questions.
Go ahead, Katie.
Deb, I want to, because since we just talked so freshly about the main experience, and you have so many from younger in your life, and we'll touch on all that. But I want to point out to people, because this comes up a lot, your behavior that night was strange. It wouldn't be like you to be walking around with a shotgun. Your mother's behavior was strange. You know, the next day, just like, oh, yes, where the UFO landed. Like, you guys were all acting just not yourselves. And I always wonder, is this a human shock reaction to an event, or can they somehow manipulate humans to, you know, go where they would normally go or whatever?
I don't know. Even my friends at the house, you know, my girlfriend's house that I went to cut patterns, they didn't react to how long I'd been gone. And then when Bud came, you know, nothing was ever said when I went back to her house, how long I'd been gone. And they knew I was going to look at something that might be kind of sketchy, but they never commented. And then when Bud came and did the investigation, they were the first people that he interviewed and talked to. When he told them, you know, how he had laid out how, you know, the timeline for it all, she was kind of upset that she's like, well, you know, she felt like a bad friend. Like I should have, I don't know why I didn't check on her. I knew that she was going to go and, you know, look for burglars. And so I don't know. It seems like that other people were affected by it, but I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Did you get any telepathic message or anything? I mean, that's not my question, but now you got me curious about that. Like something was saying, yeah, do this, do that, go. I mean, was there some like a sixth sense saying, I got to go out here with this shotgun. I got to go out and do this. I got to go out and do that kind of deal?
Not overtly. No, it was just in my mind. I'm like, okay, I got to go, you know, I just felt like, oh, I've got to go and defend my, you know, family and my turf. I got to go check this out.
Good for you.
There wasn't any voice in my head that said, you need to come here and do this. You know, it was just.
I got a question for you about a statement that I think you possibly made. You said that when this happened, part of you died, but another part of you emerged as a new you. Can you explain that statement? What did that mean?
I know it sounds kind of weird, but yeah.
No, believe me, if it happened to me, it'd be a new me because I'd be under the bed for the rest of my life.
Well, I felt, I was at first. I was a hot mess for a long time. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown. It's one of the reasons that I reached out to Bud. I was desperate because that was even not like me to reach out. I'd never written to anybody who'd written a book, to get on that bus and go to New York to see some stranger who wrote a book about UFOs. You know, I almost jumped off the bus halfway there because I thought, what's wrong with you? Why would you do this? You know, that's how desperate I was. But definitely it just feels like in that moment, that night, something happened in my brain that just like a switch was flipped on. I started thinking about things and seeing things that I'd never interested in before. I used to take things apart, like radios, and tear them apart to see how they worked, and collected seeds and was obsessed with that for a while, and drawing these. I had these visions of like these symbols and things that I would draw. So
you possibly had a download.
I don't know. I hear that term all the time now.
Yes.
Didn't hear it before.
Have been saying that all the time. There's a download. I've had a download. I can't tell you what it is, but all of a sudden I may draw something that's weird, or I remember something that's weird, or I know something's going to happen. I know information's been downloaded. Do you feel that way now, Deb?
Well, yeah, I suppose. I mean, that's, I guess you could use for about a year or so after that incident. I would wake up in the middle of the night with these images in my mind, and I couldn't go back to sleep till I drew them or the phrases and words until I wrote them down. And I became interested in stuff that I didn't have any interest in before. I always say, I drew the Wi-Fi signal back in 1984. I saw it on a wall somewhere, and that's how it was white, carved into a black, like shiny wall. But, I was in remedial government in high school. Of course, I didn't like to study. But then by the time, so that was high school. I got my high school transcripts. And by the time I was in 1992, I think is when I was invited to join Mensa. Okay, and I couldn't balance my checkbook when I first had a checking account. So, something in my head changed. And that's why I always say the old Debbie died, and then 2.0 came online that night,
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. And stuff.
I know it's bizarre.
No, it's great. And you're always so humble. Yeah, you're always like, I know it sounds so crazy. And you have helped so many people. You've helped me. Your book has just helped countless people. Your whole story. You were just so brave to come forward because this was at a time when, we had Betty and Barney Hill back in the day, but you were really on the forefront. There was no Ancient Aliens on TV. For you to go on these TV shows like Maury Povich, what was that like for you at that time when I know how private you are? You're a very shy person. Here you are putting out this story that must have sounded insane to so many people. Can you kind of just describe what that felt like?
I was terrified. When I first started doing stuff like that, and it was always with Bud, and I did it because I felt obligated to help him with his book because he had helped me with my life. I felt like he'd saved my life in many ways, and he'd given so much to me. So it was terrifying, and it was hard. And I've always been self-conscious anyway, because I was always, the fat girl but so I always had that stuck in the back of my mind too, just, but there was this drive in me. There was this something extra that compelled me to do it, even though I hated every minute of it. And eventually I got used to it, but I still get kind of weird sometimes before I do something. I backed away for years because I'm like, I don't want this. I just want to have a normal life. So,
yeah. So many contactees and abductees often feel like they're just put onto this mission or task. And I think that's part of that obsessive kind of, downloads or reading books or, and people, different contactees and abductees go down different paths, whether it's scientific or environmental or what. Did you feel that way, Deb, that you had a mission or a task?
I did. It even spilled over into other life, to not paranormal life. Like when the hurricane hit, Katrina hit down in New Orleans. And 2 days I watched it on TV and I couldn't take it. And I went and I quit my job and I joined the Red Cross and I went down there and spent 2 months because I felt called, like that's part of what I'm supposed to do in the big picture, helping people. And as I feel like speaking out about this is another part of me helping people. Yeah. I guarantee that everybody has a story. Every single person on earth has a story. Most of them ain't going to talk about it. And I don't blame them. I never felt like I was brave. I felt like I was a fool or stupid sometimes. I was like, why are you doing this? But everybody has a story. And if you think you don't, then you aren't paying attention.
I would love to ask about other paranormal things happening. We're going to jump around a little bit because your life, there's so much to it. And I want to squeeze in as much as we can. You got really interested in ghost hunting for a while. And I know, because I've had the pleasure of ghost hunting with you, you definitely have real skill when it comes to capturing EVPs. And we actually have some of those we can play, but I'll let you set those up. Well,
I don't know. I felt attracted to EVPs, I don't know, like years and years ago when I first read about them. And I did an experiment with my nephew and we got a really good EVP right off the bat. It said, are the spirits listening? And it was an old man. It was really clear. And then right after that was a little voice like a kid that said, can I listen too? And in that moment, I had this epiphany that, oh my God, we are the spirits to somebody else, somewhere else. And that's when my brain kind of popped again. And I began to be aware of like the fact that maybe we only perceive a small sliver of what's actually going on all around us, because that's the way our brains are wired. And then maybe something about my experiences changed the wiring in my brain to make me be able to perceive a little more,
Yeah.
But, so that's how I got interested in the whole thing. And then as I got older, and my family and friends started passing away, I thought, I got more people on the other side than I do here. And it'd be nice to talk to them again. So let's try it. But,
and then we actually have a few EVPs. Do you want me to set them up or you?
Well, I don't, whichever one you're going to play
sort of
first.
hate to give them away, but, I guess we'll just call them by name. Can we listen to Hi Ginger? Because that might be my favorite.
Sure. Okay.
All right, Amanda.
Wow, that was clear.
This was one of the first ones that I was involved with. This was actually captured with the first paranormal group that I worked with in MRIPA. They were a bunch of good people, and we were doing a private residence. The people would complain that there was a little girl running around upstairs at night and it would wake them up and bother their dog. And they didn't have any little girls in their family. So we set up, we had our base station in the garage. The family had left for the night. The only living thing in the house was the dog. And I actually have video of the same EVP where you can see the dog walks past the recorder that's on the table and kind of lays down in front of the recorder. And that's when Hi Ginger is recorded. And the dog's name was Ginger. The dog's name was Ginger. We didn't even know that.
What state was that in?
Indiana.
So I never go there.
Indiana.
Okay, I have no desire to go to Indiana if there's ghosts talking to dogs and stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh, I don't. Well, see, the thing
I don't like ghosts. They don't like me.
I don't know whether they're
to do
ghosts.
with them.
I have a feeling that some of the things that we communicate with had never lived here and lived somewhere else, and we just happen to eavesdrop on them every once in a while.
Oh my God!
Listen, if they haven't had a cup of coffee,
can we hear that again?
No.
Yeah.
You want to hear Hi Ginger again?
Wow.
I still get goosebumps. When we first found that when we were doing our review, I was like, I about passed out. I was so excited.
Well, we've got 2 more. Should we just play those back to back real quick?
The next one was recorded on a private thing. At the end, we were wrapping up and our walkie-talkies were shut off, but we had one walkie that continued to come on its own. And this is what it was like 3 a.m. We were way out in the middle of nowhere.
Was it the hello?
Number 2, yeah.
Okay.
Why is the walkie going off right
now? Whoa, you can hear your reaction.
We were in the middle of nowhere at 3 a.m. with these crappy little, Midland walkie-talkies that maybe go a mile. We just used them to communicate with each other. Yeah, that was exciting. Right at the very end.
And then we got one more.
Okay, the third one is we were doing the Crump Theater in Columbus, and we were down in the basement. There was a group of, I think, 4 of us. We were doing a walkthrough, had the recorder in my hand. Everybody was perfectly quiet as we walked in, and you can hear, and then I'll tell you afterwards the rest of the story.
Okay.
One of the guys that was in our group had a football jersey on with the number 16 on it.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Standing up there.
Real quick question for you, Deb. Do you guys buy a whole bunch of Depends? Because I'd be peeing in my pants.
I'm not scared.
You'd be sitting there going, "Hi, Ginger," and stuff like that. I'm telling you, man, I'd be releasing it. I wouldn't need a water pill anymore. That's for sure.
I'm not scared.
You're a better person than I am. Because I'd be out that window so fast you wouldn't be able to see me.
No, I love it. It reaffirms to me that we're not alone.
Is that the new you?
Maybe.
Because I'll stick with my old me.
I'm not. Chris, I ain't scared of no ghost.
Chris, I thought you were a big crime scene detective. You're supposed to be the big ghost.
I blast the hell out of the house. I got 3 shotguns in the house, and I use every bit of buckshot in the place. My walls would look like Swiss cheese with that.
One of the complaints that I always had when I watched those paranormal ghost hunter shows on TV, when they'd have stuff happen, they all run and scream. And I used to tell my group, if you're going to do that when we're out, then go home, because that's why we're here. Why are you going to run and scream I'm running towards whatever's making the noise because I want to record it. Everybody else is screaming.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's so many contactees and abductees that have these paranormal things that kind of follow them their whole lives. Now, you had mentioned your contact started when you were younger. How young? What's your earliest memory of contact with something else?
My earliest memory, and it's very spattered. I was about 6, and my sister, who was 11 and a half years older than me, had taken me to Detroit for a weekend with the mutual friends, and I could play with the little girl that was there that I had been friends with when she came down to visit her grandparents. And while we were there playing, one of us kicked a ball over the fence, and I jumped the fence to get it. And as soon as I got over the fence, I realized I was somewhere else. And I got scared. I remember being scared. I remember trying to find the house that I was supposed to be in. I walked into the house. I saw there was a little boy there that stopped me from leaving, wanted me to play with him. He said he had toys. So I went to play with him. And when we went into this toy room, it was like this big white room, just like endless room. And I sat on a sunken area in the middle of the room, and he sat some toys on my lap, and something poked me in the leg, and I got scared and I tried to run away. And I thought it was his mother that came out from like a kitchen or something when he was asking me to stay. And she came out and she said, what is she doing here? She does not belong here. She needs to leave now. And bam, I was like literally pushed out the door. And when I looked up, there was my sister standing at the edge of the walkway on the sidewalk. And I felt immediately relief because my sister, and I ran to her, took her hand. She walked. I don't recall us having any conversation. She walked us back. She wasn't like, oh, where have you been? Or anything like that. I don't remember that. And then we went home, and it was actually my mom when Bud came to start his investigation and would sit at the table and say, is there other weird stuff? My mom said, what about that time you were, you may not remember it all when you were little, and Kathy took you to Detroit. And Kathy was there, and she's like, oh, yeah. I guess the police were called, and the whole neighborhood was looking for me. And my sister went out somewhere and came back with me. And I don't recall her saying anything extraordinary about, where she had been when she found me. I do know that she got the phone number for the woman whose house we'd visited, and Bud actually spoke to her. So it confirmed that we had been there and I had been missing. So I was like 6 then.
Wow.
I got a question from the chat room. I wanted to ask you. We're going to change the subject a little bit. American Road Warrior, who's one of our people on chat, he's very, very knowledgeable about UFOs, and he wanted to ask, do you think that you stumbled on this UFO, this abduction scenario by accident, or do you think it was purposely done?
I don't know. I really don't know for sure. I know that they weren't there when I went in the garage. So whatever happened quick, or time changed or something. So I don't know if that was an intentional thing and I just wasn't able to perceive it. I don't know, honestly. Could have been. It's possible.
Because sometimes these abductions happen by accident. I mean, Travis Walton was one. It sounds like yours possibly could have been.
And I would think that if I hadn't had other strange experiences before that and after that, I would probably assume that was the case. Yeah.
Ever thought you had an implant or a chip?
Well, yeah, I had the scoop mark in my leg. And then I had, when I was, before I had my gallbladder out, when I was like 13, there was something on my shin, on the other shin, and you could roll it up and down the shin bone. And so when I had my gallbladder out, they took that off at the same time. And I wanted it. I wanted the doctor to give it to me because I was a kid, because we could roll it up and down my shin. But when I woke up, the doctor wouldn't, he didn't give it to me. I don't know where it went, but.
Why does that always happen? I feel like everybody who's had something removed from their bodies, like, I don't know why the doctor wouldn't give it to me. And I couldn't get it when I went back for it later.
No. And I was only a kid. I was like 13, so I didn't have any say in any of it anyway. So.
Well, yeah, I guess so. Can we, switching around a little bit, I would love to touch on the hybrid topic. And you can talk about that as much or as little as you want, whatever you're comfortable with. I know it could be personal for you. So just how much you want to talk about that.
Okay. Well, I found out I was pregnant when I was 8, I wasn't even 18 yet. I didn't turn 18 till February. And I found out I was pregnant with I assumed my fiance. And we were going to get married in June, and we moved our wedding up to April because it was the 70s, and I didn't want to be all big and pregnant because it was a different time. And I babysat for my sister one night. Or I went to the doctor and was confirmed to be pregnant. Had a blood test and an exam. My mother went with me, and then we, life carried on for a while. And then I babysat for my sister one night. Had a weird dream. Fell asleep on the couch and had a weird dream about somebody taking my baby. And I woke up the next morning in my niece's bed, still panicky, like I thought I was still in this dream. And I went to check and see if everything looked normal, and it did. Still was bothering me. I couldn't get it out of my mind. So my girlfriend at the time, she took me to Planned Parenthood with her. Well, she got her birth control pills, and I took a pregnancy test, and it was negative. And so I went and told my mom. I was freaking out, and I told my mom something's wrong with my baby. I got to go back to the doctor. Took me back to the doctor, did another pregnancy test, had another pelvic exam, took me into the little office with him and my mom. And he said, "We see this sometimes," which I couldn't believe that they saw that sort of thing. He said, "We see this sometimes. You're young. You'll have other kids. I suggest you just forget this ever happened." And my mom, I remember her asking him if I needed a DNC, and she said no. He said, "No, she's fine." And I thought in my head, I'm never going to forget this. But when we left there that day, it was never spoken about again. Charlie and I went ahead and got married, in April, and went on to have 2 kids. And we never spoke about it again.
Wow.
My heart was broken. I'd gotten used to the idea. I hadn't planned on getting pregnant, but got used to the idea. And then my heart was broken, And then all this started happening after June 30th. And then Bud starts the investigation. One time Bud was out in Indy with us, and I had taken him to somebody else's house because they had written him about something so he could interview them while he was there. Pulled back in the driveway, and I just blurted out to him, I lost a baby. And I could tell by the look on his face, the minute it came out of my mouth, I regretted it. And I thought, oh my God, now he thinks I'm crazy. Why did I do that? And I started crying. And I said, I have no idea why I just told you that. It just blurted out of me. And I don't know why I'm connecting that with this. I don't know. And I feel crazy, and I apologize. And he was really kind, but I could tell he was like a little flustered and not quite sure what to say or do with me, Well, then I guess he had been getting apparently letters from women who had pregnancies that disappeared. And, he started looking into it more. I've always said I got pregnant by my fiance. I've always called the memories I've had as dreams. And a lot of times I still do. Some people that have experiences like that, they probably get cranky with me because I still struggle with it, because it sounds bizarre. And I told Bud one time, I don't want to be one of those people on the National Enquirer cover. I don't want to be. It's not like that, but for some reason I felt compelled to speak of it to him, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and people can read obviously more about it in the book. And I just want to thank you for sharing that, because you are not the only one. And I think this is just another way that you really, really help people. It'd be very easy to just not want to talk about that, but you really do help people by sharing it. So I just want to say thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. When Bud first he had to talk us into writing the book, and then he had to talk me into, because that was a whole family decision with the book Intruders. But then it was a Debbie decision for the pregnancy part. And I said, hell no. Oh, no, I can't do that. I said, that's just that's too personal and private of a thing for me. I just can't. It hurts my heart too much. And it's embarrassing because it sounds crazy. But eventually, he convinced me that I needed to. It was important, and that it would help a lot of people. And so I finally agreed to it.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Deb, for sharing. Did you ever get an inclination of, if there is a hybrid program, which it sounds like there is, why? What are they trying to do? What are they trying to create? Did you ever get a sense of that?
And one of the memories I had, one of those gray things said to me, he didn't understand why I was so angry. and upset because this was a really good thing. And I said, I'm angry because you didn't ask me, and that's mine, and I want to take it home with me, and I can't. He said I couldn't take her home because she wouldn't survive with me. And, so that's, I take of that what you will, make of that what you will. But that gray thing said that it was a good thing. So I don't know who it was a good thing for, them or us or all of us or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't sound like it was a good thing for you. I mean,
well, no, I wasn't happy about it.
No, I wouldn't be either. I want to take you back to the ghost thing again. I don't know why I'm going to ask this question, but I'll tell you the reason why I don't like this stuff is because some of my relatives did a stupid thing. They had a seance, and they didn't know what they were doing. And in this seance, apparently one of them went into a seizure. Never had a seizure before. Went into a seizure. Table actually slid right across, and a voice came out yelling at them. It was almost like a demonic voice. And they were told, listen, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't screw around with this stuff. And so I don't know much about ghosts and stuff, but that kind of convinced me, you don't screw around unless you know what you're doing. So let me take you back to that. Have you ever had a bad seance or something go wrong when you've had, your ghost hunting, where you said, oh man, we got to get out of here?
Not to me. I've seen other people be scratched and stuff. And I believe that there's bad energy out there. There has to be bad for there to be good.
You think it's demonic, Deb?
I don't know. Some of it I don't think has ever lived here. I don't think that there's, I think there's negative energy, like evil, whatever terminology you want to use for it.
There's
I believe
evil.
that's
There's
out
no
there.
question about
Definitely.
that. I met it.
But first of all, I feel almost as if I'm protected in a way. I have felt it around me before, and I've kind of visualized myself or surrounded in that white light again. And I will address it and say, not today, baby, move along. This ain't going to happen here. And it goes away. But I'm pretty confident in my protectedness.
You think that's surrounding you all the time, or do you have to summon that light, or what?
I feel it always with me, and I've been through some bizarre. Look, I had a house dropped on me in a tornado, and I climbed out from under the debris with not a scratch on me. Okay. I lost everything I owned on November 17th, 2013, when an F3 tornado hit my house. And I was in the closet with my husband and my dogs. And after it was all said and done, the fire department actually had to dig me out from underneath the rubble, and I didn't have a scratch on me.
Wow. You are definitely protected. But that's a very traumatic experience. And I'd love to touch on the trauma part of all of this, and again, only share what you're comfortable sharing, but I feel like trauma can unlock just paranormal activity or ESP or just all kinds of abilities. I mean, nobody ever wants to go through trauma. It's a sad thing, but there can be a benefit to it as well. And I'm just wondering if you feel like some trauma in your life has opened all of this up.
I do. I've had a lot. I've had several things happen to me in my life that most people go through their entire life, never experience. Like my husband, before the guy I was married to now, the guy I was married to committed suicide in front of me, and he was going to kill me first, but he changed his mind. Thank goodness.
Well, wait, can you say what he was going to kill you?
He was in the house with a shotgun, and then he went outside, and I ran out. All the sheriffs in Howard County were there because I called the police, and I said, my husband said he's going to kill himself, and he's outside. And she said, lay down and don't open the doors. And I'm like, but he's knocking on the door now. And she said, don't open the doors. Don't be by a window and listen to what I'm saying on the phone. So I listened to her. And then when all the cops got there, I ran out the front door. I said, they're here. And I dropped the phone. I ran out there, and I was screaming at him not to do this. And he looked at me, and he had the shotgun up, and he pointed it at the police officer who was between the rest of us and him first, and said, if you don't kill me, I'm going to kill him. And then he looked at me and he pointed the gun at me. But then he looked at the house, and at the last second, he sat down on the trailer. He turned the shotgun on himself. He leaned into it and he pulled the trigger. It was traumatic. I was devastated. I was broken for a long time.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, no UFO stuff happened for a long time after that. But there was a lot of paranormal stuff that happened, not just to me, but to family members and friends from him on the other side, I think. And I feel like these experiences that I went through now, look, it's been 28 years, and I can look back on it now and say it was a blessing because it showed me how strong I am and what I can get through. I can get through that. I can get through anything. And I feel myself as a little wad in a slingshot, and the farther down life pulls me, when it lets go, the higher up I can attain. You know, so I feel like all the stuff that I've gone through that's not been good has made me stronger and more, open. And, I tell anybody who goes through horrible things, you can get through this. You will get through it. And
let me just ask a follow-up question to that, Deb, real quick, because I want to have the others spend time with you and stuff, and I don't want to take up too much time. But anyways, I've investigated in New York State, every unattended death has to be investigated by the police. And I've done countless suicides, murder-suicides, and everything. And my question to you is, and I've had this told to me, is that after a suicide of sort like that, they started getting messages from the person that died. Did you get that too?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did.
Can you elaborate on that? Is that something you're comfortable with?
Yeah, I did. And it reaffirmed my belief in life after death. I already had that because I'd had a near-death experience during the birth of my son. But he was an amateur astronomer and electrical engineer. He was a genius. He did Oscar Moonbounds, ham radio operator, all that stuff. And one of the things that he loved was sky watching and looking at stars and comets and stuff. And that night, all the family was at my house, and we were outside. Some of them were outside, and they were smoking cigarettes outside, and they ran inside to get me to come outside because there was a bolide. I don't know if you know what a bolide is, but it's kind of a rare event in the sky, a bright green, huge. It shot over the house. It went down. It appeared to go down in the field behind the house. And when it did, it split in two pieces. And one piece went to the ground and one piece went up. And I'm like, oh, that was him, because I had just said to him, you can go now. I'm going to be okay. And I got a phone call from our friend in Florida, she's no longer with us now, but Vicki Lyons. She was at the Gulf Breeze research team. We had gone down to visit her the year before, and KO had fell in love with her dogs. And she called me. Okay. She called me the next morning, and she goes, I just had the strangest thing happen to me. She said, I swear I heard KO in my utility room playing with my dogs. And he said to me, you be sure and tell her that I loved her, because you know how much I loved her. And she said, so I'm calling you. And I'm like, oh my God, Vicki, he died yesterday. And she lost it. She started crying, dropping the phone. She said, I swear to God, I heard him. And she did not know that he had passed away. She lived all the way down in Pensacola, Florida. So she had no idea what had happened. I hadn't told anybody. Wow. And just lots of little things like that. The song started playing every time I went somewhere, every day. And I played it for my dad one time, and my dad started crying and said, that's him. It was called I Swear. Go look at the words to I Swear. It was our life. It was bizarre. And it played for me every day. When I get in the car, I turn it on. It was like this song was playing for me over and over again. Just lots of little things like that. And it just wasn't to me. It was other people. He did it to all our friends.
It's powerful. Wow.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And it's real. I mean, they're not gone.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
And he felt bad. I mean, he felt bad. I don't think that when he did this, I don't think he realized he was so into his own illness. Because when you commit suicide, you're as sick as if you have cancer. When you lose that will to live, you are sick. And
Sure.
he died of his disease, you know? And I asked, I got to tell you this real quick. You know, in Indiana, they have to be declared dead by a medical doctor. So they took his body and they took me to the hospital, and they put me in that little room, and my stepdaughter and her husband were with me, and they took him to put, my stepdaughter and her husband went to identify the body, and they left me in that room alone. And this priest walked in, and he came over to me and he said, "Mrs. Lerner, I'm sorry to tell you your husband didn't make it." And I said, "I already knew." And I said to him, "Is he going to go to hell because he killed himself? Because I'm telling you, he doesn't belong there. He was a good person, and he was good to me and changed my life." And the priest said to me, "God calls everybody home in different ways. If it wasn't his time to go, that gun would have misfired." And he said, let me pray with you. And he got down on his knees in front of me and took my hands and put his head on my knees and prayed. We prayed for him. And I'm not a religious person, but I welcomed that, you know. And then he said, I have to leave now. He says, "Are you going to be okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm going to be all right." I said, "Thank you. Your words made me feel better." So after the funeral, I decided to go back to the hospital to thank him because his words were so powerful to me. They got me through so much. So I went to the hospital, to the information desk, and I said, "I'd like to find this priest that came in and talked to me when my husband died." And I described him to the lady, and she said, "Honey, there isn't anybody that comes in here who looks like that." And I said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Because he was here." And she says, "No, I'm sure." She goes, "I don't know who talked to you that day, but it wasn't any of the clergy that come here," because the local clergy would come. I felt like at that moment, that was my guardian angel there in my time, my hour of need to give me comfort. Mm-hmm. I really feel that with all my heart.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Goosebumps. Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Well,
and
I'm
I
sorry
feel like I'm supposed to tell this story. Of this stuff is stuff I'm supposed to tell people to make them wake up and realize that there's so much more than you know, life has a way of distracting everybody. It's part of what I'm supposed to do.
That's so true. Thank you for sharing that too, Deb. That's powerful.
You're welcome.
And yeah, I do think trauma plays a role in a lot of this, because when we disassociate, we tap into something else in the ethers, and spirits and ETs and everything else. So it is an important message.
And I think that the ETs, at least the ones, I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff going on out there, different kinds and life forms and whatnot. But what I've been in contact with, I feel there's some kind of connection between them and our spirits, our souls, our human, energy. I feel like human beings are magnificent, powerful energy beings. And with these, I call this my meat sack full of water that I just drive around in while I'm here, I mean, see that my mind is just my whole consciousness has just expanded so much. From June 30th, 1983 on till, and it's continuing to expand every day. I'm growing and changing and learning.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to switch gears here. Bill, our producer, had a question he wanted to ask you. And he asked, could the hybridization also play a role in preserving humanity as a species and possibly be a seeding program for our adaptation to environments on an exoplanet if our species ceases to exist here on Earth?
I don't know. It sounds like a good plan to me. I mean, I don't know for sure. I honestly don't know for sure. I've even entertained the thought that I kind of got the feeling that I almost knew this particular one. And at some point, I kind of thought maybe he was from my future. Like he was my nth to the 12th power grandson or something, come back to fix something that was messed up. I don't know why I thought that. But it's just my opinion. I have absolutely no, real idea what that is. And I probably won't know until I get rid of this meat sack and move on.
Please stay in your meat sack for quite a while longer.
I'm working on it. I'm doing my best.
I, for one, need you here so bad. We all do. I want to ask you, obviously, a lot of your experiences have been nerve-wracking and scary and even had physical effects that weren't positive, but you really do have a positive way of looking at it now. Can you just talk a little bit about that, how you got there?
I had, it was a matter of survival. I mean, I've had anxiety problems most all of my life. And then was diagnosed with PTSD after June 30th, 83. And then again, after the tornado and after my husband's suicide, just kind of compounded it. I've been fortunate to find a therapist who's compassionate and who also listens to, I've even told her some of the I've told her all the strange stuff, the UFO stuff, the dreams and everything. She's very open to it. And we've been doing EMDR therapy. And now we're working on something called alpha wave therapy, where you put the clips on your ears. She's a licensed therapist and she's certified in EMDR and in this other alpha wave stuff. So, and it's been very helpful for me. So I feel fortunate to have found her. And I just, I feel like I'm a survivor. Mm-hmm. That's just the nature of me. So I'm always going to try to figure out how I could live with something. I laugh a lot. I crack jokes. I have a pretty crazy sense of humor because I feel like sometimes I have to, if I don't laugh, I'm just going to cry. And I look much better laughing than I ugly cry. I don't like to cry. So, yeah, I mean, when you have bad things happen to you, whether it's UFO or paranormal related, or if it's just life related, you can't always choose what happens to you, but you can always choose how you're going to respond to it. Now, I chose life. I chose happiness. And I realized early on that the only person that could give me that was me. Yeah. So.
Okay. Now I'm crying. Thank you very much.
Wow. This is, I have to tell you, Deb, you're a very brave woman. It's very rare to see, somebody to go through the ordeals you have gone through, because a lot of the stuff you're sharing that we didn't even realize that, you went through. So first of all, my heart goes out to you but I have a lot of admiration for you, a lot of respect for you, because it's not everybody that can pull up their bootstraps like you have and say, you know what, I've had these things happen, but I got to carry on. So let me switch gears a little bit here, because I'm a forensic guy that loves to look at the evidence and stuff. And one of the most important things about your abduction is there's a lot of evidence, physical evidence, that nobody really talks about. And I'd like to talk about it because, one, you had this mark in the lawn, and my understanding is the snow never settles there. It always melts. Is that correct?
Yeah. The snow, the first year that mark was there, every time we'd get snow, it would melt off within a half an hour. And there's a photograph of it. And it didn't have any, the soil was dry and hard, and the samples that I took and then samples later that Bud took, you could put them in a glass of water and leave it sit all night long. And then when you get up the next morning, you just have a rock, a chunk. But I took control samples out of the rest of the yard, a chunk, and put it in a glass of water, and I have mud. This soil would not absorb. It repelled moisture.
Repel water, didn't dissolve.
No. And I still have soil samples, 38 years old. And they survived the tornado because they were in my mom's old cedar chest. So I still have soil samples that, I've offered to give somebody to look at.
Right. But you also had an experience with tomato plants that were just, they somehow grew enormously bigger than what they're supposed to, but yet they weren't edible. And you had dandelions that grew outside of that circle. Now they grew right around it. Am I correct? And they grew really larger than a normal dandelion. Tell us about that.
Yeah, the ones that were closer to the mark in the yard were much larger, and I took a photograph of it. It's a crummy picture, 38 years ago from a Polaroid, but you can still see it. I put a regular sized dandelion and an ink pen next to it to show how much bigger they were. And then there was a thin row of a small wooded area that separated the neighbors to our north from us, and there was a several foot wide swath from the sky all the way down of where the leaves withered and turned kind of yellow, and they fell off much sooner than the trees normally did in the fall. And the vines grew like mad and were all over the driveway, and they were almost as big around as my wrist. And the tomatoes were like grapefruits, but they were really acidic. They weren't good to eat. The grass that grew back in the circle and in the strip, it took several years for it to grow back, and it grew back very slowly. And the grass that came back in it was thicker and almost a purple color for a long time. Then eventually it changed into like the rest of the yard. But when it came back, at first it was just weird. And the soil had a weird smell to it, like rotten eggs or something.
Oh, wow.
And there was a crack on one side where it was kind of shoved up that was closest to where I had been standing. And I took a 12-inch long school ruler to stick down in there to see if I could measure how deep the crack was. And I accidentally dropped the ruler and it disappeared. So I have no idea how far down that crack went or how deep that soil was affected.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. So we have about 7-8 minutes left here. What do you think, Deb, about like disclosure, and what do you think the end game is here? I mean, do you think it's coming?
I'm encouraged by some of the things that I've seen in the last year or so that have come out, from the governments and stuff. But my personal feeling is that disclosure is going to happen whenever they want it to. They're in control, not a government, and also I feel like experiencers will have a hand in that or a part in that to help that come forward. So it'll, eventually it's going to happen, but it's going to be on their time, not ours.
We've discussed that a lot, and we often say it's really more in the hands of the people. I think I don't know that we can ever count on our government to just say, okay, let's fill you in on everything that we kept secret, and here's what's going on. I just feel like the more of us that just come forward all the time and are willing to talk about it, it's in our hands, I think, and you and I have talked about that too. I'm wondering what you personally most want to accomplish in terms of ufology with, I hope you have 100 years left in your meat sack, woman, because I don't want you to go anywhere. But for whatever time we all have left, what are your goals, just in talking about this?
I would love to see the stigma around reporting an event, a sighting or an experience, a contact, to be removed. I want people to be not afraid to speak up and say, hey, I saw this, or this weird thing happened to me, and not have to worry about losing their job or losing their pension, being, ridiculed. It was a lot worse back in, 38 years ago than it is now, but it's still there, especially for military folks, pilots, and people like that who see things probably on the daily when they're up there, but can't say anything because they're terrified of losing their jobs or their pensions. I want that to stop. I want everybody to just have an open mind and listen. And I hope to see that stigma go away before I do.
Yeah. Yes. Well, you're helping.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm trying.
And you're doing a great job. We don't have much time, and I got about a gazillion questions for you. But there's, I guess I'm going to piggyback on a couple of things here real quick. One, You passed a voice stress analysis. Now, I'm a voice stress analysis technician. I've given lie detectors to people. They call it voice stress analysis. That's the new lie detector machine. You actually took one of those, right?
Yeah, Bud set it up, and the guy who gave the test to me, I think he was like giving it to me blind. He didn't know anything that was going on. And I believe that when it was all over with, the guy said to Bud, well, I can't say for sure whether this happened to her or not, but I can tell you she believes that it did. So that was his way of getting around.
And my final question to you is, after this traumatic experience that you had with this alien encounter, why the hell did you want to go swimming?
I don't know. I
would go to a bar. I'd be drinking bourbon like there was no tomorrow or something. Why swimming?
I don't know. I didn't you got to remember, I wasn't really remembering what all just happened, but I just was going on how I physically felt. And I just felt I just kept thinking about that cool pool water, and it would just feel so good, and I just really, really wanted to get in the pool. So I don't know why. I'm just telling you.
Oh, God. Okay. Okay.
I'm curious. Do you again?
So, Deb, what do you have coming down the line?
Oh,
what
do you mean?
Oh, we're back. Okay. Do you have any conferences? Are you working on a new book? What are your plans moving forward here?
There's a possibility there might be somebody that's gonna somebody's made an inquiry about possibly a documentary style thing about my experiences and intruders. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. I've heard it before in 38 years, but and other than that, I don't have any things scheduled to go speak anywhere or anything. I'm just kind of chugging along, and I'm thinking about maybe writing on some stuff, and I was thinking maybe about doing a podcast of my own eventually. But other than that, nothing really going on.
That would be so amazing. I would be glued to that constantly. It looks like Katie may have frozen up there, but I'm sure she'll be right back with us. So we've got just a few minutes left. Do you still have contact? Is that something you can answer?
It's changed. It's not the same physical that I used to have. I say it's more metaphysical than physical at this point. It's more in my head with the lucid dreams, the vivid dreams that I have. Just recently, I had this, it was 1 year ago exactly. I had that dream about black holes and energy going in and out and stuff, and I drew that vision that I saw down. And then I just saw an article today about a fifth dimension, and the drawings with the arrows and the circle and everything going in and out are exactly like what I drew when I thought I was looking at a black hole. So, I'm having some weird lucid dreams and things, but the physical contact, I don't think it's necessary anymore. I think whatever they wanted to do to me in the beginning to facilitate this going forward has been done. So I don't know. I could be wrong. That's just a guess.
I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, but Deb and I do talk a lot, and I got to tell you, whatever it's been now, 2.5 years ago or something, I just remember her saying, I feel like something really big is coming that's going to affect the entire globe. And I just remember thinking like, okay, well, yeah, maybe. And then I don't need to tell you what's been going on the last couple of years, with COVID and everything, but you really are, somebody has given you some kind of gift for foresight. And, so I'm constantly bugging her. Like, what are you feeling? What are you sensing is going on?
Can you give me the lottery numbers?
Dude, if I could give you the lottery numbers, I'd be in a whole different house. My house would be a lot bigger. No, I don't know. I try to figure things like that out all the time, but it just doesn't seem, I'm not in control of it when it happens. It comes and goes and I can't control it. I need training.
I don't know. I think you're doing pretty good. And we're down to our last couple minutes. You have been such an incredible inspiration to us tonight. I have laughed. I have cried. We've been watching the comments. Everybody listening is just blown away. You are truly an inspiration. And I know all the experiencers in this community appreciate your honesty and how much you're willing to share. This, I'm getting the chills again. This has just been a really, really great show. I look forward to this one, and boy, it did not disappoint.
You're a brave lady.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk to you guys, and to maybe, if one thing I said helped somebody that's listening out there, then I did I accomplished what I came here to do.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And thank you for the opportunity to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, Deb, for everything you do. Honestly, it's terrific. Thank you, Katie. And thank you, Chris. Thank you to Bill Skywatcher, our producer, and to Amanda Curran, our co-producer. You rock. Next Tuesday night, we have William Henry coming in. So I hope you will join us next Tuesday night, 8 to 10 Eastern time. And we will be visiting with William Henry of Ancient Aliens. That's a good one. He was actually in Sedona, and I missed his thing. So I just didn't even get to even see him or meet him. So funny, I'll be seeing him next week on this. But hope to see you all next week. And everybody have a great rest of your week. Good night.